May the 4th be with you. Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. Are very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. And if you're feeling charitable, please smash the subscribe button and the like button. And please follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. Today is May the 4th. Today is Star Wars Day. So today, just for once, I don't want to focus on the negative or the stuff we hate about Star Wars. Today, on my platforms, whether it's here on YouTube or Twitter or anywhere else, I just want to talk about the good of Star Wars. What's Star Wars to me? Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebels. That's great Star Wars to me. I don't want to talk about the other stuff. I don't want to even focus on the other stuff. For today, the other stuff doesn't exist to me. It already barely exists, but I will watch it when I binge all the movies, of course, right? They are Star Wars movies, but we don't want to focus on that. When did I first experience Star Wars? The first trailer I saw was a promo on a British television network called ITV. They were going to premiere Star Wars: A New Hope for the first time. And from the first moment I saw those promos, those trailers, I was taking a gasp. A golden robot. Come on! R2-D2. I didn't know he was R2. And funny thing is, when I saw Harrison Ford's Han Solo in the ads for the British television premiere of Star Wars: A New Hope, I thought Harrison Ford was Gil Gerard, who actually played Buck Rogers. I loved that Buck Rogers TV show, and I thought, wow, Buck Rogers is going to be in this movie. He's going to be great, because I like Buck Rogers. It wasn't. It was Harrison Ford. But anyway, so I remember we had guests at the time. So annoyed. I was very young. I don't know what I saw. I think that A New Hope was the second movie I ever saw. The first movie I ever saw was Superman the movie. That's something I've bored you about so many times. Yeah, to get up. But I just remember a long time ago, a galaxy far, far away comes up, phases out, boom, da, 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 da. The credits, the story, a precursor to the story, and you're reading it and you're trying to keep up with the reel going up, right? And then one ship goes past, then the really, really long one. Yeah, I don't know the names of everything, right? I love Star Wars, but I don't know the names of everything, so I'm not going to pretend that I do. So anyway, the big long ship just keeps going and going and going and going, and you think, wow, how are they doing this? How are they doing this? This is before computer-generated imagery, CGI. This is before great VFX. This literally was all done in the camera. Poor George Lucas, just like Richard Donner, who nearly took 3 years to do Superman the movie, had to create a special effects movie all within the camera. And if you want to know more about Star Wars, really, and George Lucas's process, you should definitely watch Empire of Dreams. It's a 2.5-hour documentary. It's on Disney+. You can also, I think it's on Prime Video. If you're subscribed to that, you can watch that for free. It's brilliant. I remember the day me and my mate went to get was it all 6 movies? No, the original Star Wars trilogy on DVD for the first time. And that documentary and other special features were going to be on it. So this was about, I think, 6 months before Revenge of the Sith was going to be released. So we went down there. We got our box sets. Sorry, mate, can't hang out today. I'm going back to watch this box set. It was so exciting to watch Empire of Dreams for the first time. And one of the things I always remember about that documentary is Carrie and how blatant and honest she was about the whole thing. She was just, and when she died, I always go back to her on Empire of Dreams because she was just such an honest person. Love her. And so, yes, I remember as a kid watching Star Wars: A New Hope for the first time. And it was just like, it was nothing I've ever seen before because I'd only seen Superman the movie. I was very young. So it was 77, but I don't think I saw it till about 81, 80, because we didn't get things from cinema to TV straight away back then. There wasn't any, I think at that time there was still no VHS, or we didn't have one. Because as soon as we got, oh no, we did get it. We did have VHS back then, but we couldn't buy the movies on video. So what we used to do, we used to buy shitloads of blank VHSs, right? And we used to record our favourite movies. And what I used to do, I used to be a right little geek and nerd. I used to press pause when it was adverts. So I'd make it into a whole experience. It was great. And you couldn't go back and cut things out and stuff, but you could press pause. It always used to piss me off that the caption would be there, so it didn't look like a proper film. But it didn't matter. No ads, which is the most important thing, because I hate ads. Especially in between my movies. I think that's what was so groundbreaking about Sky not having any ads in the middle of their movies. Wow. And so I saw this film, and it was both emotional, but it was a sensory delight and an emotional delight. That's what I'm trying to say. It was amazing. And what George Lucas created here, and we'll talk about the histrionics of George Lucas, because this guy's a genius. This guy is a genius. I don't care if you don't like the prequels. I do. The guy's a genius. He's clever. And I'll explain to you why. One of my favourite moments from A New Hope is when Obi-Wan is fighting Darth Vader. Now, of course, we haven't seen the prequels at this point. We don't know the emotional history between these two guys. But you can feel it with the performance of Alec Guinness. He was so good. You could tell that this guy had an experience with this guy, and something dark happened to these two. And they were obviously once friends, or they knew each other before this moment. So Luke runs out. Ben? Alec Guinness does this. Obi-Wan Kenobi does this. He looks at Darth, does a kind of J.R. Ewing, kind of self-gratifying evil grin at Darth Vader. He holds up and surrenders. Now, this is where Darth Vader, I think, is a bit dumb. He obviously didn't think, oh, what's he up to here? He just thought, this is my opportunity to kill my old master, the one who's evaded me for all these years. Because that's what darkness does. It takes away some of your inhibitions, and it also stops you from thinking. So I think that's a very clever element. So when Luke sees Ben's dead, that destroys Luke. And Hamill does a great job there. Mark Hamill's always had great quality. He really has. And it's just such an emotional moment. You feel the heartbreak of seeing his mentor die. I mean, his uncle's dead, so that was the only father figure he had. And Alec, I mean, let's, credit to George. He did anything and everything to get Alec Guinness on board. And basically, he offered him royalties. He actually got 2% royalties on what the movie made. And I remember him being on a British interview show, and Alec was actually boasting about this. So, although the press always say now that Alec Guinness regretted being on Star Wars, at the end of the day, he did really well out of it. And whether he regretted it or not, Alec Guinness was awesome on Star Wars, and I'm just so glad that George was able to kind of do the great blag and bring him on board. This is a critically acclaimed British actor. And, not many British actors were on American Hollywood productions in those days. It wasn't fashionable like it is now, so massive. So if you have seen Empire of Dreams, you know the history behind Star Wars. You know what brought George Lucas to doing this. Now, he did a film before it called American Graffiti, right? And Ron Howard starred in the film. You know, the great director who played Richie Cunningham in Happy Days, right? That was actually a big hit. Obviously, no one really remembers it anymore. But he had this idea. And what the idea he had was taking an opera, a galactic opera, Flash Gordon. What he wanted to actually do was take elements of historical storytellings, right? Samurais, Flash Gordon, and create something new and make a modern day galactic tale out of it. So he basically did what all creatives do. They take inspiration from what they experienced as children. Those chapterized movies we used to see. Those Flash Gordon, the big cliffhangers, remember them? Da, 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 da. I mean, these are the kind of things I grew up with on TV, by the way. But in America, they used to go to the movie theatre, as they call it. We call it the cinema. And see these kind of continuing chapters. And they were just put in between the movies, in between the matinees. So George was inspired with what he grew up watching. And this is every creative. but he actually did it on such a big scale. Star Wars hit bigger than he ever imagined, but he did basically have a three chapters in his mind. But ultimately, this guy had 9 chapters in his mind. He had a whole tale. That's part of the tragedy of what's happened with the sequel trilogy over at Disney. But we're not here to talk about that today. So he had something really, really powerful. But he's a pioneer. He's the one who realised you can merchandise things and make a hell of a lot of money out of it. And the studios were so dumb back then, they didn't see the potential in that. But even bigger, they didn't see the potential in what George Lucas was doing. They tried to put the kibosh on Star Wars, A New Hope, many, many times. But it's interesting. When someone has a passion and he's got a goal, and George had a goal, and he created it. Do you imagine how difficult it is to do such an effects-heavy movie in a day and age without CGI, where you can't just sit by a computer and make things look great? Why do you think the prequels are so CG heavy? This guy couldn't believe it. He had all the toys he could dream of, and he could just create amazing creatures. No wonder he went back and messed around with the original trilogy. I know a lot of the fans don't like that. I actually like the fact. I found that exciting. So I don't blame George for making the prequels so CGI heavy. He had his toys and he wanted to use them, like you do at Christmas, right? The thing is, it's time to change our mentality. I'm going to start talking about the things I love instead of the things I hate. I'm done with this industry, this modern day industry. They're in the bin. I don't want to talk about them. I don't want to think about them. I don't want them to change. They can do whatever they want. I've got my movies in my wardrobe. I've got the movies I want on streaming platforms. I don't need you, modern day Hollywood. I've got 6 Star Wars movies. I've got Rebels. I've got Clone Wars, which is about to finish its whole run. And it's ending up to be something special. Jesus Christ, did you see the latest episode of Clone Wars? They actually referenced, oh my God, did you see it? They actually reference Revenge of the Sith. You hear what happens in that film. And I tell you what, Maul's arc is brilliant. And if you think Maul's arc is brilliant, Ahsoka, wow. I have loved that character since the very first time I saw her on Clone Wars. I'm glad she's going to be in season 2 of The Mandalorian. It's only what she deserves. But I hope she's the character we know and love, because that'll be another modern day thing that I throw in the bin if it's disappointing. That's it. You don't have to please me. Fan culture. You don't have to please the fans if you don't want to. We'll just go and watch old stuff, right? So that's what we're going to do. So anyway, Star Wars, the projects I've referenced, the first 6 movies, Rebels and Clone Wars, are brilliant. They're up on the premium level, right? No question about that. And I'm looking forward to binging them today if I can. I probably won't. There's just not enough hours in the day. And I'm on social media all day. I'm posting on Twitter. I'm doing TikToks. I'm doing so many things. But the idea would be to watch all 6 movies. And there's another reason. Because just before Christmas, I pre-ordered the 4K mammoth Skywalker Saga, right? All on 4K Ultra HD. I think I'd rather binge them and sit there and spend my whole day doing that when I've got them. I know I can do that on Disney Plus, but they've put the strength of the internet down. And my internet's not very good when I'm uploading videos on YouTube. So I'm going to wait for that set to arrive, I think. But today I just wanted to do this video. May the 4th be with you. To me, it's a celebration of something wonderful. It's all about George Lucas and the team he put together. Forget everything else. As I say, forget the stuff you hate. It really doesn't matter. If you didn't have anything, Star Wars, it would matter. But you have 6, as far as I'm concerned, 6 brilliant movies. A whole chapter. Luke's story ends in Return of the Jedi anyway. We all know that. We all know that. The 2 animated series that Filoni's been involved with, brilliant. And just like The Force and just like Star Wars, Filoni is George Lucas's Padawan, right? And he trained him. He's the new George Lucas. And hopefully, when Disney come to their senses, they just let this man run this whole universe. They probably won't. But as I say, we've still got real Star Wars there that we can enjoy. Yes, I'm a 47-year-old man. I know men shouldn't enjoy TV and Star Wars because apparently Star Wars is just for children. Newsflash, millions of men and women like me around the world, my age, still enjoying it. And you can't police who enjoys stuff and who enjoys true entertainment. That's as negative as I'll get. So what I'm going to do now is just really thank George Lucas. George, you'll never see this, but thank you. You created something so beautiful, so amazing, and you rightly reaped the financial rewards. I'm not like others. I don't blame you for the merchandising. I don't blame you for messing around and releasing, you know, different versions of your movies. They're your movies. It's up to you what you do. You wanted to touch them up again. I believe you. I believe it wasn't about the finance. After all, you're bloody rich already. But unfortunately, George, the only negative thing I will talk about today is that many of us Star Wars fans drove you away from your own creation. The reaction to the prequels was very sad. And you were hounded away and you were forced into doing something. You were forced into an act of revenge against a lot of the fans who went against you. You sold to Disney. You probably knew what was going to happen. You knew they were going to destroy it. And maybe that's your revenge on us. Or not me, because I didn't attack you. But the people, it's okay to hate the prequels. But in the venomous way that people did it, it was disgusting. So when people talk about fan culture like that, I agree with that. Even though I don't like fans being attacked, the way George Lucas was treated was absolutely despicable. And for you people who treated George Lucas like that, you are the very reason that Star Wars is in Disney hands, is in enemy territory right now. But that's that. And that's done. George Lucas, you created something special. You gave everything of yourself to do it. You gave the world something special. You gave the world Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia and Han Solo, all these strange names. This tall gorilla-type creature, a Wookiee called Chewie, Chewbacca. Wow. All the characters. Darth Vader, one of the greatest villains ever. Palpatine, brilliant. I could go on and on and on. Your creations have changed pop culture. A better pop culture. The pop culture that's defined even what they do now. Your legacy will never die, George Lucas. George Lucas, thank you for Star Wars and everyone who loves Star Wars. Even the new ones. Yeah, this is all about love today. May the 4th be with you. Comment down below. Like, share and subscribe. And I'll be back with more Star Wars videos when there's something to report. See you again soon.